Okay. Tracking. Okay, hopefully the stream will go okay today. If you were starting with me on Tuesday, I apologize. The internet in Los Angeles hasn't been cooperating. Hopefully we'll get through today without a problem. We shall see, but we'll give it our best shot. To make up for Tuesday, I'm going to record a class tomorrow and then post it after. So sometime tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a strong flow up, but today is a stretch session, so we're going to go with that. And then if you need something over the weekend or tomorrow afternoon, you'll have a flow. DerekBarris.com/yoga for schedule information. Hopefully the stream will stay and we'll keep our Tuesday, Thursday vibe going, or whenever you happen to take these classes. Also have an upcoming workshop in September. I'll have to work out what date that is. I'll look later today in terms of Labor Day so that it doesn't conflict. It might probably be the weekend after for the Zoom workshop. Playlist information and donation links for this class. Okay, we're going to start with a little bit of pigeon work and some lizards. So we're going to get low and into it. So let's start in downward facing dog today. Let's take a moment to pedal out through your feet. Move around a little bit. And then you come into some planks, some up dogs. Just take about next 5 or 6 breaths to just settle in, find your breath. You can, of course, just hold down dog as well if you want to stretch out that way. And as we will be doing some lizard work and some seated work today, if you want a block or something to sit on, a bolster, just have that available as well. And let's begin by stepping your right foot outside of your right hand. And just move around a little bit side to side, forward and back. And you can keep that going or come down. I'm going to turn over to the left for my lizard. So I'm going to angle my lizard here. And this way, with my chest moving to the left side of my mat and my knee pressing out over the right side, I'm just gently moving forward and back. Feel a nice stretch in the front of my left thigh and into my inner right thigh as well. Come across. I'm going to keep my left forearm down. Place your right hand on your right thigh and take a gentle twist here. You can roll your neck around a little bit. Okay, let's get to the back of your leg here. Walk back up and then go ahead and straighten your right leg. And I'm going to turn my right foot out a little bit. Same idea. Just going to move around side to side, forward and back a little bit, flossing my thighs and a bit into my shoulders. And then I'm going to pivot over into fan pose. And settling into fan. Now I'm just going to continue to work my right hip here. So look over at your left foot, keep the arch of your left foot lifted, and then move into a lateral lunge, bending the right knee, and then re-extending the right leg. And pulsing that a few times here. So as I bend my right knee, resisting my inner left thigh away, so that I'm not just collapsing into that right side. Okay, let's take one more. And then as I turn back to the front, you're going to tap your left knee to the ground and then come up on your right fingertips if you'd like, or a block, and stretch your left arm up. We're going to circle this left arm a few times. So in this, it's always been a sort of unique little stretch here because I'm in a lunge in my hips and then I'm starting to open up towards a side angle in my upper body. And then let's reverse directions of those circles. And then as your left hand comes down, rotating again, and then just sinking down a bit, or if you're ready for a quadricep stretch in your left hip, left leg, take your left foot with your right hand, and then just settle down onto your hand, or maybe even your forearm here, and take a few breaths into the front of your left thigh. And just remember that sinking your left hip down and trying to keep that hip square is way more important than how close your foot comes in. That's just just adding a little bit there, but it's really about sinking that hip down. And take your right shoulder on your back. Take another 3 breaths here. And then releasing that leg back. Walk your hands back, and then just take your right knee next to your left knee. Find your table and loosen up your spine now, doing some circling, some cat-cows. Just for a few breaths. Coming back into your downward facing dog. And before we move on, just taking a moment in your down dog, perhaps to notice I can feel right now my right heel presses back a little easier than my left. And then we'll even that out next, stepping your left foot outside of your left hand. And again, starting just by easing in, moving around a little bit. You can stay just moving like this or holding something. If you're moving the lizard, perhaps moving over to the right side of your mat. So taking the angle a little bit different here and pushing back into your hips a few times. You can come up onto your right palm or your forearm and just taking your left hand to your thigh, pressing open into your twist. And then as you come back up, we're going to extend your left leg straight. Again, you can turn your foot out a little bit here. This whole thing is just an exploration, so your body may look a bit different than mine. What we're going for here is some external rotation in your left leg and some side to side, forward and back movement, some shoulder circles. Just easing in, another 3 breaths. As you walk back in, turning this more into a lunge, lower your back knee back down, and then your left fingertips are inside of your left foot, or again, grab a block if you'd like. Try to keep your right hip squared, and then start to circle your right arm here, getting into that shoulder. And then reverse directions on that circling. And then center back off, right hand down, and then you can just take your left hand behind you and twist, or if you want to get into the quadricep on the right side now, grabbing your foot, staying on your palm or coming to your forearm. then again, before you just crank that foot in, sink your hip down. Find the stretch there first rather than relying on the pulling in of your foot. Then pull in and then rotate into the twist. Two more breaths. Release, and of course a little out of order, but we'll always get it. Picking up to fan pose here, and then rotating over. I like to bring my hands over to the left a little bit now. Look at your right foot, keep that arched, and just bending your left knee. Then re-extend your leg. Just working into your lateral plane here. 3 more. And 1. And then rotating back to the front, dropping your right knee, coming to your table. Maybe take your hands back this time for a little wrist and forearm stretch. Same idea, you can do some cat-cows or do some circling here. So we did start doing this on Tuesday before I had to cut it off. This particular thing. So next Tuesday we'll try again. Tomorrow's going to be a little different of a flow, and then next week we'll go back to building our peacock sequence. So really looking forward to that one. We'll get there. Let's come back, turn your hands back, downward facing dog, pressing back. And then again, taking a moment here. Now both sides worked a bit. Just see how your down dog feels for 5 breaths. Drive your heels back, maybe even curl your toes up, relax your neck. And then turn the eyes of your elbows forward and up. Deep breaths into your back body. Okay. Float your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. And then move that hip around, some circles, some straight legs and bends. Just playing with some angles. And as you're ready, slide your right knee forward into pigeon. And take 5 undulations, inhale, and then exhale, lower. Just rolling down and up through your spine. Three more. And 1. And then come down onto your forearms. Pigeon is one of those poses some people can come into right away as a first pose. Some people even at the end, it's still a tough pose. And I've always love this pose for one reason, is there's so many different ways of approaching it. So on your forearms here, I want you just really going to get into that right glute for a moment. I want you to think sort of like a forearm plank, and you just happen to have your right knee in a pigeon here. Tuck your left toes and lift your left knee up. Now drive your left heel back and pull your heart forward. Now as your heel drives back, pulling your heart forward from your forearms, now pull your right sitting bone back and in. And hopefully right in that space, it's kind of like, oh, there it is. That's what I want to be feeling. Now some people like to keep their toes tucked in this version of pigeon. You're welcome to stay with that, but you can keep that pulling back and in of the right hip and lower your left knee again. And you can keep it as you come down onto your chest. Let's take about a minute here to settle in. So deep breaths. One more deep breath here. Okay, lean over to the right and take your left leg and swing it around. And keep working this right hip a bit here. And you can release it for a moment, so stretch your right leg out, shake it out. Okay, now we're going to go into a Marichasana Twist, which is from Ashtanga. You're going to bend your right knee and not cross your thigh here. So we're going to keep that foot inside to start. And then left elbow around your knee and then twist. This is a very tight twist. You might be able to bring your elbow outside. And in my very limber days, I was able to then wrap around and bind this up in front of the shin, which is the Marichasana bind, right? The Revolved Marichasana bind. So if you have that capability and you feel warmed up, you can go for that. I'm just going to work this tension between my right elbow my left elbow pushing out into my right thigh, but then my right thigh resisting, so not letting my knee collapse. And then I like to take my left hand here and press it into my right shoulder, and then adding some tension in that direction. And there's my twist. There's the sweet spot. So I got that tension in my knee and my elbow, and then that pushing of my arm, creating that stretch in my right shoulder. A lot going on, but it feels really nice. So we're going to take another 5 or 6 breaths here. Okay, and release back to center. Take a light counter twist over. And then we're going to go for another Marichasana, which is your fingertips could be forward here. Flex your left foot and start to fold. But if you want the bind, I like to bring my right foot to the right a little bit, or else I get a little tight there. And then reach your right arm forward like you're shaking someone's hand, and then wrap around in front of your shin. And then take your left arm back and see if you can grab your right fingertips. There we are. And then lengthen out. Breathe here. So every inhale, lengthen your heart a little bit more. Keep your left foot flexed. Exhale, settle in. Another 4 breaths on this. Lift back up. Straighten your right leg just for a moment. Still going to work that right leg. I'm going to turn here just to make sure the stream looks good. And we'll continue on that right leg. So just pretend I'm still facing that way. You're going to bend your right knee over your left thigh. So you're in half ankle to knee. And we're going to do a little rippling here too. Inhale, exhale, lengthen out over the leg. Just like in Pigeon, inhale, roll up. Exhale. 3 more. For 2. And 1. Okay, now coming up, and then wrap your arms under your right shin, pick it up, or cradle that right leg for a moment in this version of Pigeon here, just pigeoning that leg here, and then giving your glute a little massage. Okay, and then taking half happy baby, grabbing your foot. I like to brace with my left hand. Don't lean on it too much. Just pull that right knee back and then stretch it out. So preparing, we're gonna kind of cap this off, going for compass here. 2 more. And 1. Now, bring your right knee back and then place your right foot out to the side so that your right toes are pointed out, and then just give that a little pulsing there in that hip a few times and reach out through your left foot. Flexion or demi point. Just priming that right hip a little more open. Now, next time you drop that knee back, take your peace fingers, grab your big toe of your right foot, and then right out to that right, stretch that right leg out, and then sit up tall, flex your left foot, and then just move that a little bit side to side there, trying to reach out through your right heel and sit up tall. Okay, some good range of motion there. So grab the outside of your right foot with your left hand, and then take your right hand under your calf, prop it up onto your shoulder here. We're working for a compass. You can keep your left knee bent straight. I like to bend it for this next pose. Gives me feel a little tighter there, which feels good. Right fingertips down, start to straighten. Guess what? If you're right here, squeeze your thigh and then just work that leg and breathe. If you want to, start to extend that right leg up, working into compass pose. Maybe your head can get under your left armpit and take a few breaths here. Release and stretch both legs out and shake them out. Cross your shins. You want to do anything fancy, you can. Just make your way back to downward facing dog. However you'd like to get there. Okay. Just take a moment again in your down dog, pedal out or stretch, see how that right side feels. Hopefully again, a little more length there. And when you're ready, stretch your left leg up and take a few moments here to explore some movement, some circles, straight leg. Slide to pigeon, and let's take that journey on this side. So starting with our undulations, inhale lifting up, exhale rolling down. Number 5. And as you come down, coming onto your forearms first, and we're going to find that forearm plank feeling. So tuck your right toes and extend that heel back. Pull your heart forward. So now again, let's revisit. Crown of your head forward, forearms pull back isometrically, right heel drives back, and then lengthen your heart out, and then take your left glute and pull it back and in. There's the magic, hopefully, for you. And then you can stay with that, or we'll take the next minute here to settle in all the way down. Okay, as you come back, drop your left hip to the left, swing your right leg around, and we'll release that left hip for a moment, stretch it out, shake it out. So we're going to start with the Marichasana Twist. Again, so bend your left knee, and you can create a little space, but it's inside of your right thigh. Flex your right foot. Begin by wrapping your right elbow around, and then turn. This is totally fine. This is a nice way to approach the twist. If twisting is difficult for you, you want to slide the elbow outside, you can. And again, if you can wrap that around, go for it. And then the right hand. So again, these are all options. I like taking my right hand into my shoulder to lift and press so that I'm not leaning back so much, and then creating that tension in my knee, pushing out, but then my elbow resisting, and then pushing into my arm. Even take my thumb into my pec minor there, and it can find a trigger point like right there, and then I get a little acupressure as I'm twisting as well. So a lot you can do with this. We'll take another 4 breaths. And release. And take a little counter twist over to the right. Okay, so you can just take your fingertips out in front of your left shin there and fold, or if you want to go for that bind, wrap around the front of your left shin, take your right hand behind you, and then lengthen out and fold. This is a common question that I get when I used to teach groups. Is the left sitting bone down? If it can be, great. Mine doesn't go there. That doesn't mean I can't get a lot out of this stretch. So everyone can flex your right foot. And there you have your anchor, and you lengthen and release. And if you can press down through that left side, maybe get the left sitting bone down. Right, great. If not, it's up a little bit, that's okay. Take another 4 deep breaths here. And roll up. You can stretch that left leg out again for a moment. Shake it out. And we're going to keep that right leg nice and engaged here as we cross our left ankle over our right thigh, finding our seated half pigeon here. And we'll take some undulations here just to loosen up for this next part. Rolling down and rolling back up. Two more. And 1. And then grab your foot, and you can cradle under, like I said, or you can wrap around. Try to sit up tall and just shaking out that left hip for a moment. Taking your left foot with your left hand and pulling back into half happy baby, and then extending it out. So your toes can be pointed up and you can come in nice and tight, right? Or you can turn it out and go nice and wide. Okay, last one. So as you pull in, sit up tall, put your foot down and point your left toes out to the left. Now, your right hand is kind of your brace, but you want to lean over to the left a little and press that hip out and then release. Again, keep your right foot flexed here so your right leg isn't really moving. You're just juicing up that left thigh. We'll take 2 more. Now, next time you push out, take your peace fingers, grab your left foot, and then kick that leg straight out to the side. And you can hold there, or again, not really about leaning to the right hand, right? You want to engage in center, flex your right foot, and then just working the back of your left leg and your rotator muscles a little bit. Okay, let's go for compass. So as you bend your knee, take your right hand outside of your left foot and thread under. I come off of my left sitting bone to start. Oh yeah, you can bend your right knee or not. And then again, don't get caught up in the final thing. If you're right here and you're squeezing your inner thigh into your tricep, you are doing it. So you just breathe here, deep breaths. If you want, you could start to extend that leg up and then look up under your right armpit, finding your compass pose. And release. All right, stretch it out, shake it out. And then one more time, let's visit downward dog before we take it to the ground for the rest of our session today. Take a little twist before we come down. Take your feet as wide as the mat and walk in just enough so your heels come down. And we see students try this and they don't walk in quite enough, and it's twice as hard, and I don't think you get nearly as much benefit. For balance purposes, sure, but have your heels down. Even if you're in halfway up your mat, totally fine. Now drive your heels down, especially your right heel. Take your right hand. You can grab your left thigh or the outside of your foot here. So I pick up my heel for a moment, then I push it back down, get a nice twist, then look up under your left armpit. Keep driving back through your right heel so you're not twisting your hips, you're twisting from your midsection. 3 more breaths. Nice and easy. Release. Take it over to the other side. So again, you can grab the outside of your foot, your thigh, whatever you can catch over there. Two more breaths. And release. Okay, let's try one more stretch here, kind of similar. So we just had our right hand down, so we'll keep our left hand down. You're going to take your right foot, spin it down like a warrior one. So don't walk it back, but just walk it more towards the center of your mat. So right now my right heel is about at the center of my mat. Lift your left leg, bend your knee. Bring your knee behind your right knee. It's easier to catch this way. Take your right hand, grab your left foot, and then kick your left knee up. Three more breaths. Nice and easy release. Bring your left foot basically right next to your right foot. So it's in a warrior one. If you lift your leg and you bend your knee over, it's much easier to catch your foot here, then start to kick up. Now all that pressure is in my right hand driving down and my left heel. Same thing, if your heel is up, it's a lot harder to balance. You don't get nearly the same stretch. 3 more breaths. And release everything down. We're gonna find a cross-legged seat here. So come on down. I'm gonna take a block for this so I can lift up a little taller, and we'll get into our shoulders a little here. Let's start, we'll do both sides as always. So like to balance things out. Bring your right shin in front of or on top of your left shin, or a half lotus or lotus if that's your practice. Right here is something my knees can tolerate. If I yank up into a half lotus, my knees don't tolerate that. So that is a sort of pain I don't feel necessary in chasing. This is good enough. Cactus arms. Okay, so let's work a little shoulder rotation here. Take your elbows forward and thumbs back, and then engage your abdominal muscles. Now, take your hands down and then pulse your thumbs back. Now, try not to move your midsection at all. You're staying stable there, so you're just working your upper back muscles here. So I always think of like action figure arms here, right? We'll take 2 more. And 1. Now find those cactus arms again. And then exhale, bring your forearms together. Try to touch your elbows before your wrists and then round your upper back. Inhale, open, chest pulls forward, elbows forward, thumbs back. And then again, elbows touch before wrists as you round and drop your head. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. And 1. Interlace your hands and then drive them up to the ceiling and then just side bend. Drop your hands behind you. Remember what pinky was on top there, so we could do the other. Same thing, so as you interlace your hands behind your back, just take note of whatever thumb is on top, drive your knuckles to the ground, and then open up your heart. Take 3 breaths here. Now, wherever your sitting bones are you're going to leave them if you're on a block, a bolster, or the ground. So on your next exhale, only come as far forward. If your sits bones start to lift, you've gone too far. So you may stop right here and breathe. You may come down a little bit more. Let me get your head down. Keep pushing your sitting bones back. Take 5 breaths. Lift back up. Release that. Hands over your thighs and then circle around for a moment. Stirring the pot, loosen that up. Okay, and then since your right leg is on top, I'm going to come off of my seat for this. And then you're going to take your right leg straight out to the side. And we're going to come into a wide Janu Shirshasana, turn over your right leg, lengthen, and then walk out. We'll take about 10 breaths here, just lengthen out as we head towards the end of our practice here. Long breaths, settle in. Flex your right foot though, right? No, we're not done. We did a lot of hip work in there. So we want to try to find some length, both through your hamstring, through your foot as you reach, and then lengthen through your spine. And then as you find that length, then you can soften your jaw, soften your forehead, soften your shoulders a bit. They're engaged, but they're not tensed up around your neck. And take another 7 breaths here. And lift back up. And stake out your left leg a little bit. All right. Let's do the other side. So again, if you'd like to sit up on a block, you may. We'll take your left leg in front or on top here, whatever you did on the other side. Okay, so a slightly different arm sequence this time. So you're going to take your arms out to the side and then you grab light bulbs. So you're going to screw the light bulbs. We're going to open them, close them. I don't know if that's the right direction. We're just internally rotating and externally rotating here. From your humerus, your upper arm bone, just feel that rotating. Keep your core engaged. It's good, right? So that we're not just arching our back here to compensate. We're staying engaged, braced in center. Take another 5 rotations. 4. Last 2. Okay, and then open back up, hands behind your head, interlace, elbows wide, inhale. Exhale, tap your elbows around your upper back. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Oh, someone's ready for breakfast. Second breakfast, as we call it. 2 more. As you open up, take the opposite pinky on top from the last time. Stretch up and move around a little. Yeah, the best part is that at 2 a.m. while he's standing on your head. Drop your hands behind you. And then take the opposite thumb on top from the last time. Drop your knuckles down. Open up. Take 3 breaths here. And then start to lengthen. Keep your sitting bones grounded as you fold here. Stretching your upper back for 5. And lift back up. What do you want, you little ham? Stretch your left leg out. You can stay on your block or remove it. I would put the block by him, but my block has become a scratching post. The other one is actually much worse from this little cretin. So you're going to turn over your left leg for Chasana, lengthen out, and then fold. Come deeper if I don't have a butt in my face. Thank you. Five more deep breaths here. Inhale, lift back up. Stretch your legs out. I know many of you have animals. We're animals, so I don't think our behavior is always much better, but little guy. All right, we're going to take your feet together into Baddha Konasana. Last little juicing up here before we before we end this. So hands behind you, lift your butt off the ground and just moving side to side and forward and back. Just getting into your inner thighs. As my wife often says, when they look up to us, they just see giant apes. That's probably true. Keep your feet together and then go ahead and lengthen out over your legs here. If you want to stay up tall, that's fine. If you can come all the way down, that's great. I get about halfway and then there's my limit. Just going to breathe into that. About 5 more deep breaths here. Lift back up. Stretch your legs out. Interesting, I see my video has started to slow down. Perfect timing. Hopefully you can still catch the audio. I want you to lie onto your back and take your resting pose. At least we made it almost till the very last minute before that started. Okay, we're back on time. Okay, just a brief little glitch. Hopefully that'll work out soon. Thanks everyone. I'll see you on Tuesday. Take a few minutes to rest here. We'll do a peacock flow on Tuesday.